Hey, good afternoon. This is Wilfredo Aguilar bringing you the word of the day today. I want to talk about Jesus is your wisdom. Jesus is your wisdom. Um, I think it will be awesome to have an experience like Solomon, that he God showed up and asked him, "What do you want? Anything, just ask." And Solomon said, "Hey, I want wisdom. I want to know between good and evil." And we have a video on it where we talk about it. And God gave it to him. God gave him wisdom. Later, it sort of got corrupted. His heart got corrupted, and Solomon was basically he found himself following other gods. And when he got older, so God raised enemies to punish him. And overall, it was a good life. He reigned over 40 years in Israel. It was some huge success concerning money. He had a lot of money. But I want to see the difference between God giving you wisdom or asking for wisdom and proclaiming or declaring that Jesus is your wisdom. Jesus is your wisdom. And what the end result is different. If God gives you something, sometimes we end up taking credit for it. People in the world that they sing good, it thinks because they do something really good. They have a good skill. They think it's because of them, their hard work, their persistence, their practice, all that stuff. Except that, God gave him a talent, gave him a gift. They don't see that as something that God gave him. So when you say Jesus is my wisdom, not only do you have something immediate, you have access to it. Jesus is your wisdom. Not only do you have access to wisdom, you are wisdom. That's in a sense when you say Jesus is my wisdom. So the union between us and Jesus, and us claiming that Jesus is our wisdom, is that we have access to the wisdom of God. That's amazing. It's not that God gives us, we have access. We have his funds. It's like putting in the money where his funds is, because Jesus is the wisdom of God. So when you say Jesus is my wisdom, it's pretty unique, and ultimately will lead you to boast in God. Be proud of God, because Jesus is your wisdom. Instead of a personal wisdom where you think, hey, I developed this wisdom. I read so many books. I did so many things, and then as a result, I have this wisdom. Whether you say Jesus is my wisdom, Jesus and Jesus, and eventually will become more things than just wisdom. But isn't it a nice, awesome way to think of saying Jesus is my wisdom? Jesus is isn't a higher wisdom? Is the wisdom of God. So 1 Corinthians 1:31 says, "In order that is written, let the one who boasts boast in the Lord." So how would you boast of your wisdom if Jesus is your wisdom? That's an interesting thing. This is pretty much the theme, not only for wisdom but for all the other stuff that Paul mentions on 1:30, 1 Corinthians. So how would you boast? How would you say, hey, I have great wisdom, when Jesus is your wisdom? It's an interesting concept to think about. So let's read about. As a matter of fact, I like this passage because it has the how Jesus becomes our wisdom, how Jesus is our wisdom. So 1 Corinthians 1:18-30, It says, "For the word of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but if the power of God to us who are being saved. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise." I mean, who gave them that wisdom? Was it originally from them? Probably not. Probably God gave it to them. But hey, now it says, "I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will set aside the intelligence of the intelligent." Where is the one who is wise? Where is the teacher of the law? Where is the debater of this age? And then, hasn't God made the world's wisdom foolish? For since in God's wisdom the world did not know God through wisdom, God was pleased to save those who believe through the foolishness of what is preached. For the Jewish ask for signs, and the Greek seeks wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified as stumbling block to the Jewish and to the foolishness to the Gentiles. Foolishness to the Gentiles. Yet those who are called both Jewish and Greeks, Christ is the power of God and the wisdom of God, because God's foolishness is wiser than the human wisdom, then God's weakness is stronger than any human strength. Remember, we saw the wisdom of Solomon. We have this message. You can look it up in my videos. We discussed how the wisdom of Solomon was actually the wisdom of God. It wasn't the higher wisdom. It wasn't the Jesus wisdom, because the way Solomon's request is pretty much about the law, the wisdom of the law. He wanted a wisdom to rule. And that's what the law is good for, where you have crime, you set up the law in order, for the evil people. That's what the law is for. So Solomon wanted a good understanding of good and evil. So in an essence, what God gave him was the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We talk about that. So now Paul is actually reinforcing that wisdom is actually the world's wisdom. It's not God's wisdom anymore. It's the world's wisdom, and God gives that wisdom, and it is a good wisdom, but it's not God's wisdom. God's wisdom, it's Jesus. So the way He did it, by becoming a curse for us, that was God's wisdom, and it's a very different than the wisdom of Solomon. It's way higher. It's coming from God. It's the love of God. It's a higher wisdom, and it's probably, and it is actually, it's not probably, it is richer than Solomon's wisdom, than the riches that Solomon gives him. Okay, so brothers and sisters, consider your calling. Not many were wise from a human perspective, not many powerful, not many noble birth. Instead, God's chosen what is foolish in the world to shame the wise, and God has chosen what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God has chosen what is insignificant and despised in the world, what is viewed as nothing, to bring to nothing what is viewed as something, so that no one may boast in His presence. So it is from Him you are in Christ Jesus, who becomes the wisdom of God for us, our righteousness, sanctification, and redemption. So today we just talk about wisdom, how Jesus is our wisdom. Jesus is my wisdom. You can personalize it, but we can say the same as righteousness, sanctification, and redemption. Jesus is my redemption, my sanctification, and my righteousness, and my wisdom. That's pretty much the idea. What would you rather have? Would you rather have God give you something, or taking that of what is from Jesus? So Jesus, make Jesus, because in a sense, when God gives it to you, it could be like it could become as a something you own, something you have, and then you can boast for having it, even though God gave it to you, but you can still boast and say, hey, I have it. And that's pretty much what the people of the wisdom of the world does. They boast on their wisdom, because they know a lot of mathematics, they know a lot of literature, whatever they think they know, because they know the evolution theory or something like that. But ultimately, God gives wisdom, and their wisdom is the wisdom of the world, the wisdom of the law, of the nature, of the physical law. But the wisdom of God is supernatural, it's above, and that's Jesus. So when you say Jesus is my wisdom, watch out. Watch out, because Jesus is your wisdom. Jesus is your wisdom. Jesus is my wisdom. Let him become your wisdom, the wisdom of God. Truly the wisdom of God. So that's the message for today. I just wanted to talk about how Jesus is our wisdom, our redemption, our justification, our sanctification, and our what was the last one? The last one that Paul talks about. He is our righteousness, justification, and redemption. That's it. That's it for today. Have a blessed day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.